Do you remember that bombshell that the CBO dropped back on Tuesday saying that ObamaCare, the Affordable Care Act, is really going to hurt workers in this country, reducing the full-time workforce by more than 2 million workers, and also being a disincentive for many companies to hire workers and give workers more hours? We're talking about all of this with Katie Leachstra. Did I say that right,
Yes.
Katie?
Good morning, Lauren. Yes, you did.
I did. Okay, great. I was nervous about that one. You're with the National Association of Self-Employed Workers, and David Sussman joining us once again with Valcor Worldwide, a small business advocacy company. Nice to see both of you, Katie and David.
Hi, Lauren.
Good morning.
Thanks for having me.
All right, before we jump into this, I want to roll a soundbite from Jason Furman, the chairman of the Council of Economic Advisors, responding to this in the White House press briefing after this CBO report came out back on Tuesday. He's trying to put a positive spin. Let's take a listen.
It doesn't say losing jobs. It says FTEs. So to some degree, this might be somebody who used to work 60 hours because they needed health insurance and that was the only job that offered it. And now they can get a different job at 35 hours that doesn't offer health insurance, but they're getting it through this, and they're switching from one to the other. And that's a better choice for that person, and this has given them that option that they didn't used to have.
Okay, ladies first. Katie, we'll start with you. Do you agree with that positive spin?
Lauren. In fact, continue to be a little frustrated with how the White House keeps on trying to have it both ways. You know, they talked about just 2 weeks ago in the State of the Union about the importance of growing the middle class, providing upward, economic mobility to those that are looking to have a better life here in the United States. And here they have someone talking about, working a 60-hour-a-week job when actually the Affordable Care Act says a full-time job is at 30 hours a week. And I think you know that the House Ways and Means Committee just tried to push that up to a realistic 40 hours a week is considered a full-time employee. So I just continue to see this back and forth. I think they're dealing with some very harsh unintended consequences of this law, and they're scrambling a little bit to try to justify, this complete healthcare overhaul that is now impacting every single American in the United States.
Right, and David, you say that the Affordable Care Act disincentivizes both lower income and higher income workers.
Both, yes, absolutely. And what we're looking at here, if you go back to what Chief Elmendorf talked about yesterday, is that he, quote unquote, said that this is going to be the central factor, Obamacare, the central factor in slowing economic growth. When you have low-income workers who are better off not taking work and leaving their job because they now can get free health care, obviously that adds to the
handout society that we have
entitlements in society. That's correct, which we all pay for. But even on upper income workers, when you have the White House and you have members of Congress stating that this is a positive thing because people can now go and achieve their passion, they can go and do some hobbies, become writers. I believe Nancy Pelosi stated yesterday, it's completely out of the realm of reality. These people are making decisions that, from a perspective where they've never run a small business before. And I believe that's going to have a major impact on the economy as a whole, negatively.
Negatively. Katie, would you agree?
Yes, and one of the things that I was really struggling with yesterday is reviewing the CBO report and the back and forth, how Republicans and Democrats treated this, is I was thinking about the entrepreneur, the self-employed member that is out there. They are working their tails off. They're taking every new client they can get. They are building their business from the ground up. And if the mentality from the top, from the president himself is saying, work less, it's okay, we're going to provide health care for you, we have a really mixed message. I don't know any NAAC member that is going to say no to another book of business, that's going to say no to another project. And even if it pushes them outside of the premium assistance, they're going to know every day that they wake up that they're meeting that kind of American spirit, that American dream of running their own business. And so I think the message that we're sending is frankly very disheartening to those entrepreneurs that are out there that, aren't working 60 hours a week. They're working, 80, 100 hours a week because it's so important for them to have something that's their own.
Right. Well, mixed messages for sure. And also, David, we could see an increase in employee turnover because of this, right? Many employees might say, well, I kind of needed this job because I needed health care for myself, for my family, but they might not be saying that anymore.
When you reduce the incentive for employees to stay at a company for many years, you lose the potential of grooming that employee to become from a low-rung employee to middle manager to eventually upper management. And so what you're doing is you're taking the talent pool and you're basically saying, hey, look, you don't need health care from us, so every 6 months, every year, as an employer, I'm going to have to hire new people. It's going to be more expensive and it's going to be more costly to my business, which means that I'm going to have less profit to hire people. It's unfortunately a snowball effect that's going to...
And David, for small businesses, they just don't like the runaround, right? You want some sort of certainty. I hate to always use that cliched word, but it seems like this is the alarm in our building. I'm sorry. Our power system is having some trouble right now. I got stuck on the stairwell because I couldn't use the elevator coming to the show. So you might hear it. Our viewers might hear it as well. But that's what's going on. But as I was saying, it seems like small business owners really just want certainty, and they're getting anything but, David.
Yeah, this is an ongoing theme. The lack of certainty in the marketplace with Obamacare. I mean, we've got the employer mandate that's been delayed now until October of this year, which means starting at about June or July this summer, employers are going to start seeing what their premiums are going to look like for 2015. And this is where we're going to have some major numbers, and you're going to start to see this reported later in the summer, just in time for the election, by the way, interesting, that are going to show that the number of employers are going to be actually reducing the coverage for employees. And we're going to start to see many, many more employees coming onto the exchanges and start to depend upon the Medicaid programs that are out there. And in many cases, it's going to add to those roles that taxpayers are paying for. The
reality is now, Katie, that the Affordable Care Act is the law of the land. And you say in the notes that I have from you, if I have this correct, that we should change the conversation. We're not going to repeal it. We should stop doing that, but maybe figure out a way to tweak it.
Absolutely. And, you know, everyone has been talking about for the last couple of years this repeal mantra. I do think that there is kind of there's a, dual track here. There's the repeal replace options, and the House Republicans and Senate Republicans are going to have to come up with a pretty comprehensive replace plan if they want to fully overhaul the Affordable Care Act. And I think there's another avenue of how can we make this law better? How can we make it work for us? I think, to David's point, we need to have a conversation about the employer mandate, the full-time employee equivalent hours, talking about other things as it relates to how are we ensuring that people are getting both affordable health care coverage and comprehensive. One of the latest things that our members are dealing with, and I know it's been kind of an understory, is these shrinking of networks. So previously, they had a much bigger network that they could see many doctors, and now they're going in, they're realizing that that bronze, silver, or gold plan that they purchase in the exchange doesn't actually cover all of their doctors that they need. And so where can we do more market reform in that area to ensure that when you're buying a healthcare product, you're fully aware of what you're purchasing and that you're getting the coverage you need? And really quick, Lauren, I want to push back a little bit to what David said about, the turnover employees. There is one very small silver lining in this. Is that correct? If people know that they can go buy affordable health care in a marketplace and hopefully in a more market-driven place, we are going to see more smaller businesses start. Whereas before, we've talked to NASC members that have been afraid to leave their great corporate job and start their own business because of healthcare. And so one small silver lining is that we're going to see those people jump into that entrepreneurial field, start a business, and know that they have a realistic healthcare option to pay for them and their families.
We have a viewer chiming in now. Flying High OKC says 10% of the healthcare industry is not being paid because of Medicaid denials. So this is an economic problem. Do either of you want to respond to that? Medicaid denials?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I mean, I still think that in where we're seeing this massive explosion of Medicaid, more states reforming their systems, we are going to have to deal with further reforms in this area. And I think this is the challenge, is that all of us, as we're talking about healthcare, positive or negative, pushing forward and saying, where can we have a more market-driven society? Where can Medicaid really provide a valuable service to individuals across the United States, but also ensuring that people are getting paid? I know that there is a huge concern when it comes to, subsidized care for those who are in, private facilities, if you're having nursing care, that sort of thing. So we have to work on it. And that's where I feel, circling back, when we're talking about how do we make this law better, this is a prime example of where we could work hard together to make it better.
And David, I'll let you wrap this up with your final thoughts.
Well, real quickly, I just want to say further to what Katie was just saying, I'm the biggest advocate of entrepreneurs out there. I'm a son of an entrepreneur. I train entrepreneurs. I teach entrepreneurs. I'm an entrepreneur myself. And with the ability to increase the number of entrepreneurs in this country, I would cheerlead that. But what are we talking about here, realistically speaking? We're talking about lower income people who are now being disincentivized to work. To say to them, hey, look, you've been working 35 hours a week just to keep your health insurance. Now you can go and pursue your passion. Now you can go pursue your dream. Many of these are individuals that don't have the wherewithal to start up a business. It's extremely tough to start up a business today.
And expensive.
The number of people. And it's very expensive if you can get the money to start with as well. So we're talking about people that are going to end up sponging off the system of those taxpayers that are working every single day. And I think that's definitely a conversation that needs to be had.
Yeah, I think that is the biggest problem that we might see as a result of this. Thank you so much for forwarding this discussion. Katie Vlietstra with the National Association of the Self-Employed and David Sussman with Valcor Worldwide. Thank you so much to both of you. Have a great day.
Thank you,
Lauren.